When I was 16, I met this girl, 17, in a Yahoo chat room. She was getting picked on in the public part of the chat room for some reason. Guys were calling her a harlot and stuff. It bothered me, so I stood up for her. She sent me a private message thanking me and all that. I asked her why they were calling her names, and she explained to me that when guys find out that a woman is above their league and they couldn't get them, they get intimidated, become petty, and call them names. I totally believed her, and from then on, we started talking every day. Turned out that she lived about an hour away from me in the same neighborhood that my cousin lives. My cousin is a few months older than me. She was smoking hot. Webcams just started becoming semi-common, and we would do cam-to-cam charts fairly often. We would buy phone cards so that we could talk on the phone every few days or so. Before I ever met her, I was head over heels in love, and she reciprocated those feelings. After several months, I convinced my mom to drive me over to see my cousin so I could use it as an excuse to meet her. My mom drove me to my cousin's house, then left with my auntie. I used that opportunity to sneak away to meet up with her close to her house. When we met, she took me to a park. We sat on a picnic table and eventually made out for a while. It was my first real kiss, but she made sure that I didn't feel insecure by telling me that I was a natural, amazing kisser. I went back home that night, happier than I have ever been in my life, and even more in love than I was before. We started taking things to the actual level during our phone conversation, but she wanted to wait to have access because she knew that we would want to do it every time we see each other, and also that the time between our visit would be extra difficult. I was a virgin and she wasn't, so I was willing to follow her lead. A few months later, I was in a hurry to save enough money to buy a truck so I could drive to her place more often without having to lie to my mom that we need to visit my cousin. I started putting more hours at work, and my parents saw how much work I was putting in to buy a truck, so they contributed money to what I already had, which added up to enough to buy a new truck. After buying my new truck, I made a third visit. I went to her house and she was home alone. We instantly made out with each other for a while before she basically said, "Okay, no more. We can't do this yet." I took her out to eat and we went to her father's house so she could introduce us and so that I could meet her older sister, and everything went great. When it started getting dark, we decided to just pull into a grocery store parking lot and just sit and talk and kiss and stuff. She started tickling the palm of my hand with her finger and asked me if I knew what that meant when someone does that. I said no, and she looked at me and said, "It means I want to go down on you. Is that okay?" "Of course." I said, "Hell yes, it's okay, but we can't do that in a parking lot." She tells me she knows a spot and tells me how to go to this little area off the side of a dirt road that was pretty secluded. We pulled in and she takes it out and started giving me my first, and to this day, one of the best BJ I have ever had. After about 5 minutes of me trying my darnest not to finish, she says, "I want you to F me." I had a condom that I brought just in case, so I put it on, and we had an awkward but mind-blowing excess in the passenger seat of my truck. I lasted like 20 minutes somehow, and when it was over, she said she had never had excess that good. I drove her home, completely filled with a confidence that I have never dreamt of owning. Dropped her off, went back to my cousin's house to visit him and secure an alibi. I was excited, so I told him about my girlfriend, but I never showed him any picture or anything, and he kept wondering about the mysterious woman that had captured my heart. I started making frequent visits to her place and tried to visit my cousin while I was there, so I got a full excuse. We would have excess at least once a week. Life was good. None of my friends had a girlfriend who was that attractive except me. Even though I couldn't go public, about her since we live an hour away. It went on like this till her high school graduation, when I attended and brought my cousin along. During graduation, my cousin finally had a chance to see her and was shocked that I was dating the local high school harlot. He told me to break up with her immediately, as she is known to frequent the male bathroom and blow everyone for $20. I felt at that moment the same feeling when people on Yahoo chat room were attacking her. I thought maybe he was jealous because he didn't have a girlfriend, and his last girlfriend that broke up with him was fat, whereas my girlfriend was literally the hottest girl in that arena that had made the graduation walk that day. So I brushed it off and defended her honor. But I took a mental note though. My cousin and I never talked about her again, at least for a long time, as he found that I got defensive when he told me that she was a harlot. After my girlfriend graduated, she enrolled at a local community college and waited for me to graduate the following year so we could move in together. Then all of a sudden, she started growing distant. She wouldn't answer my phone calls or respond to my texts promptly. I was worried. I thought I did something wrong, and I drove several times to see her, and we talked. She would claim that everything was fine. One day, she called me out of the blue. She said that she was pregnant and she knew I was going to leave her. I told her hell no, I would be a man and do my part. She starts crying and says it won't work. She claimed that a few years ago, she had an eating disorder that got so bad that she had to have surgery. The doctor told her that if she got pregnant within 5 or so years, there would be a serious complication that could kill her. Also, she had already established the fact that she was very firmly against the idea of removing the pregnancy. She told me I would rather die than do that. I didn't tell my mom or cousin because he would say that he warned me, so I kept it to myself and it ate away at me. I was absolutely desperate. I was convinced that this was all my fault. I should never have trusted a condom. I figured I had effed up by trying to put it on backwards at first and get some pre-ejaculation on the outer tip. I had essentially ruined both our lives by being a dumb, horny teenager. Then she called me later to tell me that she had good news, but it will cost me. She told me that her doctor said that she could save her life and the life of the baby if she continued to take this expensive medication. But the problem is that she didn't have the money and her parents wouldn't support her. I volunteered to work as hard as possible to pay for her medication. So I took on 2 jobs as a high schooler, and half my pay goes to my girlfriend. I didn't party or go out with friends. All I did was work and school. I didn't have time to study, so my grades were not looking so great. My parents were concerned because they wanted me to get into a good university. They couldn't understand why I was working so much, as they couldn't figure out what I was saving it for. I kept it to myself and never told anyone. I didn't see her as often while she was pregnant because I was working so much. After I graduated high school, she was about 8 months pregnant. That was when I told my parents, well, Mom, by the way, you should be expecting to become a grandma. And guess what? I can't go to college because I have to get a job and raise a child. She was shocked and requested more detail about the situation. I told her I have a girlfriend that I have been seeing for over a year, and we met when I was visiting my cousin. My mom was upset, so she reached out to my cousin and asked him what he knew about this. My cousin told my mom that he doesn't think that I got her pregnant and believed that she was a harlot in high school, and he knew multiple guys that could be the father of the baby. My mother was infuriated by this and literally pulled her hair out. She ordered me to quit my job and concentrate on school and threatened that if I signed the birth certificate, she would kill me. My mom had a strong personality that even my dad is afraid of her. Her refusal to believe that I fathered a baby with my girlfriend caused me to start having doubts that the baby was mine. I didn't know what a DNA test was back then, My mom forced me to quit my job and concentrate on going to college. By then, I had already taken the SAT, and my grades were terrible because I spent all my time working to support my pregnant girlfriend. When my girlfriend went into labor, my mom and I came to the hospital, and my mom's primary objective was to get a DNA test, not to even see the newborn baby. We saw the baby and then had the DNA test as well. A week later, the DNA test came out, and it turned out that I wasn't the father of the baby. I found out that my cousin was right all along. The DNA tested 5 additional guys, and none of them were the father. The 6th guy was the lucky son of a gun. A few years after the whole ordeal, my cousin finally revealed to me that he and his friends used to pay her $20, and they would line up in the male bathroom and she would give it a go. Another thing that I would find out about was that she never had an eating disorder, so her story about taking an expensive medication was a lie. I knew this because my cousin also joked that I wasn't the only guy that was paying for her so-called expensive medication. Yeah, we laugh about it now, but that severely traumatized my future relationships, as I have dated a couple of times and had to break up with all my girlfriends because they all cheated literally, either emotionally or physically. Never like it was with her though, and other women I fell in love with ended up cheating on me and getting caught. I thought the reason I am catching them is because I don't trust any woman that I'm dating, and I assume they are lying unless they prove otherwise. Meeting that girl just put the wheels in motion for a lot of sadness and trust issues. All I can do is try to not let it ruin me, but I think it's too late. Thank you for making it to the end of this story. Please support the channel by liking the video and also subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what you think about this story in the comment section. Thank you and have a wonderful day.